and I will see you in the future.
Where are we?
Looks like a piece of pulse.
Pulse? What, you mean like the Bodum vestige? Something like that. It's close to Eden.
Yeah, well, what I don't understand is after the purge and all that Lassie paranoia, why keep a chunk of pulse under the floorboards?
Is this what the Primarch wanted us to see?
A place for Lassie to accept their fate.
Do you really think our focus is what Daisley said it is?
You mean become Ragnarok?
Destroy the Fal'Cie Eden and shatter Cocoon. That's what the vision's telling us, more or less. So, back to square one. Out of luck.
Mr. Hero! Cocoon calling Snow!
It's almost like Daisley wants it to come true.
Seems that way. He sure didn't mind explaining it. Here's your focus on the silver platter.
But that doesn't make sense. I don't get it. Why would a Cocoon Fal'Cie want to destroy Cocoon?
Maybe it's a Fal'Cie thing. You know what I mean? Some grand design we just don't understand.
Huh. Hey, Snow. Nothing from you?
Uh-huh. So, this way?
Hello, and welcome back to Lewd Plays Final Fantasy 13, Chapter 10. Oh boy, and this is a lightning solo section, fun fact. So we have, well, apparently, we have a single paradigm called the Medic Paradigm. I never actually noticed it. There's only one paradigm here, and it's the Medic Paradigm. Oh man, that is funny. Good stuff, good stuff. It doesn't actually matter because you don't fight anything, but hey, you have the Medic Paradigm if you want it. I'm not going to do too much in this menu other than clear the usual exclamation points, but let's see. Sarah Farron. Sarah is Lightning's younger sister and Snow's fiancée. Also a Pulse Lassie, she has gained eternal life and slumbers in crystal stasis. Snow believes their focus is to save the world as Sarah wished, but Bartandalus explains that her task was simply to gather the tools for Cocoon's destruction. Was Sarah nothing more than a pawn, an unwitting enemy of Cocoon? Uh-oh. I mean, that was revealed in the last chapter, so this is not surprising. Gallanth Daisley. Acting in the guise of a human Primarch, Gallanth Daisley has concealed his true identity as the Fal'Cie Bartandalus. He reveals to Lightning and her companions that their focus is for one of them to take on the form of Ragnarok and shatter Cocoon. Despite overseeing Cocoon's prosperity for so long, it seems he now desires its destruction. To that end, he has watched over the fugitive Lassie and even taken a direct hand in their survival. Jill Nabat. Jill Nabat is a talented SciComm officer who graduated at the head of her class. As the supervisor in charge of Dodge's testing, she grew close to his father, Saz. However, her kindness was simply a ruse to gain access to the boy's Lassie ability to sense pulse entities. She captures Saz and Vanilla Nautilus, using them as bait in her scheme to draw the other Pulse Lassie out of hiding. Jill's plans backfire when her carefully laid ambush is unable to contain the Lassie, and Bartandalus disposes of her as he would any other tool. Yes, unfortunately, Nabat is not a boss in this game, even though there seemed to be some sort of build-up towards that, and hopefully some sort of vengeance from Saz to Nabat. Unfortunately, she just perishes at Bartandalus's hand, which is a little bit of a shame, but that's okay. I keep saying that's okay. I don't know why not. Why not? Why? I don't know why I keep saying that. I will look at the Crystarium, but first I want people back in my party. And I'm also going to, well, you could wander around in this area if you wanted, but there's actually nothing here, which is surprising. This area is rather big for being empty, but it is empty. It is at least a consistent floor plan with other areas. You'll see a similar sort of layout as we proceed. I do sort of wonder though, because there is such an elegantly laid staircase and this area is sort of like, it seems like a hub type area. I would probably imagine, and I guess this sort of spoils that this isn't a thing in this game, but I sort of imagine that maybe this is like where, if you were to get the airship in Final Fantasy 13, this would be the landing spot for this region. And you could choose to disembark and then exit into Cocoon proper over here and be wherever Cocoon is. Granted, this is a weird area, as I believe it's discussed. I don't know if it was actually just discussed, but it is an arc, which is weird for there being an arc on Cocoon. But nonetheless, it's a weird area that has no real purpose. We can talk to people though, and so I should.
Sarah, so gathering up the tools for destruction turned you to Crystal, huh? You really were an enemy of Cocoon. Just like the rest of us. I had it all wrong. Totally wrong. I only made it this far because I thought we were the world's last hope. Now, let's destroy Cocoon. Become a Seath. Damn it. Sarah, so gathering up the tools for destruction turned you to Crystal, huh? You really were an enemy of
Okay, yeah, so this is
just like the rest.
looping. Okay, that's Snow.
Wish I could say it was my piloted skills that saved us back there, but it wasn't. Truth is, the ship handled all the flying and shooting. I'm not talking about some jacked up autopilot either. Something wanted us to make it out of there, and made sure we did.
Let's see if we can get closer to him so we can hear him better.
Hey, I don't know what's waiting for us out there, but we can't sit around here worrying about it. We gotta suck it up and face reality here. Snow's falling apart, so it's up to you and me to keep things steady. But Neil told me everything. Told me who else was responsible for Uriday Gorge. Never mind. Now's not the time. Wish I could say it was my pilot.
Okay,
It is. The
that's
ship not talking about something wanted us.
Bang.
Been checking your brand? You start to stray or take too much of a shock, your brand will change, and it'll be next stop Seath Central. Keep that in mind. My brand's as messed up as the rest of me. Never changes. I might be able to get away with ignoring my focus, but the rest of you ain't so lucky. I don't even want to think about being the only one left, herding a flock of Seath around. Snow's taking this all pretty hard. Seeing him go from being so damn upbeat to such a mopey wreck is making me feel depressed. I'm worried about his brand. And checking your brand?
Okay,
Start
blah,
to
blah,
strike
blah,
that
blah,
in
blah,
mind.
blah. Some of these characters are hard to hear. Saz was basically muttering.
Don't believe everything a Foul C says. He's telling us our focus is to destroy Cocoon. But who knows? He could be lying to trick us into helping him to do something else. We should listen to Sarah, not some Foul C. No matter what our focus is, we still make our own decisions. Worst comes to worst, we can always just do nothing and wait for time to run out. After all, there's no stopping our brands. I got on that purge train on my own. Sanctum said we'd just be shipped out of Cocoon. and I believed it. I thought if I went back to Grand Pulse with that foul seed, I might be able to escape all this. But I guess things have a funny way of catching up with you. Don't believe everything he's telling us. It could be lying. Should listen to...
It's weird when you skip the dialogue like that. It just sounds like you're remembering a bunch of things Vanille said at once.
So Daisley was really the foul sea Bartandalus. The vision he was talking about was that crazy Ragnarok dream we all had when we were made into Lassie. One of us is supposed to become this Ragnarok thing and destroy Eden. Except we do that by destroying this orphan that gives Eden its power. I think I have that part straight now. So Sarah's real focus was to gather a fresh batch of Lassie candidates who could attack Cocoon. We all showed up at the Pulse Fal'Cie's place, so she turned to Crystal. Snow was wrong from the start then. We were never supposed to save Cocoon. That makes a lot more sense. Not that I'm happy about it. Reigns should be off fighting the Sanctum by now. We've got to get out of here and join up with him. But still, rushing straight into the middle of the fight's probably just what Daisley wants us to do. So Daisley, vision he was talking about was that crazy Ragnarok dream we all had when we were made into Lassie.
Did we hear this one yet?
One of us is supposed to become this Ragnarok thing and destroy Eden. Except we do that by destroying this orphan that gives Eden its power. I think I have that part straight.
Okay, yeah,
now.
we did. Sorry. Okay.
We ready to get out of here?
I gotta apologize. Looks like I was wrong.
About Sarah's focus. Not like you to second guess yourself.
Well, even heroes make mistakes.
What about your plan to protect Cocoon? Either way, your faith in Sarah was strong. That strength got you this far.
It was all wrong.
Yeah, you tried so hard to convince us that you even fooled yourself. You've been a total idiot. But still, it saved me. You trusted Sarah. Let that faith drive you. It even made me want to believe.
Sarah, talk to me, baby.
Data log updated. And now our party's back. Alright. Day 13, Flight. Believing the Sanctum announcement that the Purge was a forced migration to Pulse, Vanille decided to board the train of her own free will. This could be her only chance to return home. Vanille hated the idea of leaving Fang behind on Cocoon, but if she could make it back to the lower world, her focus would no longer be a danger to anyone. Maybe she couldn't change reality, but she could defy her fate by running away. Her encounter 4 days ago had given her the courage she needed. Alright, so that explains why Vanille was on the Purge train. And the Fal'Cie Bartandalus. This Fal'Cie has long lived under the guise of Gallanth Daisley, the Sanctum's supposedly human Primarch. Unbeknownst even to his closest aides, but beknownst to us. Wait, no, I'm sorry, just kidding. Unbeknownst even to his closest aides, he has kept careful watch on the fugitive Lassie through the eyes of his Rook, Minerva, forcing them to grow stronger while at times aiding secretly in their flight. Bartandalus desires only that the Lassie complete their focus, which he explained to be transforming into the beast Ragnarok in order to destroy Orphan and all of Cocoon. And we have a party again, as we've seen, and the game gives you Lightning Snow Vanille. I want Lightning Snow... Lightning Saz Vanille. Still cannot change leader, I don't know why. But whatever. I'm going to use this. This is only going to work for one fight, which is enough for what I want. Actually, I'm gonna do something like that. No, that. And then at some point, Saz can get in on the action, I guess. It's only gonna be for this single fight, so I don't really need an extensive setup, but I want black belts. I say single fight, but it's actually gonna go on for a few fights. Brawlers are spanned, I think. And yes, our Crystarium expanded. Which means that we could go into stage 10. Or not stage 10, stage 7. I don't know why I said 10. This is stage 6. I wonder how exciting stage 7 looks. That's it? Really? Huh? This looks boring. I guess these nodes are pretty good stat boosts. Before I even touch this, I'm just gonna go on to the next fight.
This
Also, here's another. Oh,
I mean, those were just legends, right?
are you
I
done?
want to say we're close to Eden, but it's hard to be sure.
Done? Yeah, it's another extravagant area. In fact, there's a secret area over here that has no purpose. It's marked on the mini-map, but it has no purpose. All of this is just... why? Scenery, I guess. This is logos. I guess that's a fish in the lower right. Fish with half a halo. The arrow command or symbol. 4? 5? I don't know. I have no idea what that says. An exciting door. Yeah, I don't really know why this is so extravagant, but whatever. It looks cool.
I can't believe we're still in Cocoon.
It's kind of creepy.
Ow. Pulsework Knight. This looks like an enemy similar to those I've seen, at least in Chapter 4. Resists everything! Weak to fire and thunder. I guess that's cool. Chain resistance of 90. Oof. Stagger point 130%. That's okay.
Let's go! New strategy.
I opened with Quake because otherwise getting chain duration could be a nuisance. Or did I even use Quake? I don't even know if I used Quake. Whatever. I did something. They die fast when they're staggered. Role development unlocked. Your party members have unlocked the potential to assume all combat roles. From now on, you may also freely select the members of your battle team. To take on a new role, a member must first learn an ability for that role. You can teach a party member new abilities via the Crystarium.
This place. It must be an ark.
An ark?
That's what they called them.
Long ago, the Fal'Cie who made their home on Grand Pulse were afraid of invasion from the outside. As part of their battle preparations, they created an army of living weapons, and they stored those weapons in arks. And they hid the arks all over the world.
Everyone on Grand Pulse knew the legend.
So, this is basically a Pulse armory.
Mm-hmm. Most of us never believed in them. A few people tried searching, but they never found a thing. Who'd have thought to look on Cocoon?
Right under our noses. Some secret they kept. Those Sanctum guys, what are they up to?
The story's not done. There's more.
They used to say the Arks had a more practical purpose.
Huh. Really?
Yeah, to force l'Cie to master their shiny new powers.
Okay, so I get it. Daisley's goal is to forge us into stronger weapons. Right.
Not Seath, but monsters all the same.
Think of it as training for the fight ahead.
Hope's right.
Wait, what was that? These guys again.
Fun times.
Over there. We gotta keep moving.
Data log updated. Alright, so I guess that's where they reveal it's an arc. My bad. I'm not paying attention, I guess, to the story. The fifth arc. This Grand Pulse structure lies deep below the capital city of Eden, its existence unknown to the members of the Sanctum. According to legend, arcs are Grand Pulse armories that hold living weapons in stasis in preparation for war with outside forces. These facilities also supposedly serve the function of awakening a l'Cie's latent powers. Why this fifth arc is on Cocoon and whether there are other arcs hidden elsewhere is uncertain. But yes, the Crystarium, in fact, you can see it here. Crystarium is expanded, and now anyone can use any ability like this image that shows lightning as a sentinel. Weird. Let's take a look at that after I get rid of this exclamation point. Alright, if that is true, I can go here and I can select any role. Now able to harness the full powers of a l'Cie, your characters can master any role. You'll be able to use a new role once we have learned one of its abilities. Master a variety of roles, and you will gain access to more versatile paradigms. Yes, lightning is a sentinel, lightning is a saboteur, lightning is a synergist. Those were not words you thought were possible. Saz is a sentinel, Saz is a saboteur, Saz is a medic, Vanille as a commando, Vanille as a sentinel, Vanille as a synergist, Hope as a commando, Hope as a sentinel, yeah right, Hope as a saboteur, Snow as a saboteur, Snow as a synergist, Snow as a medic, Fang as a ravager, Fang as a synergist, Fang as a medic. So, lots of new things open up here. But notice that all of these are currently level 0, and in fact, if I now try to gen a new paradigm, I don't actually see Sentinel, Saboteur, or Synergist available for Lightning. That is because, in fact, in order to access that new role, I first need to progress to the point where she learns an ability in that role, and then she can use abilities, or first she can use the role, and then she can use, of course, the abilities in that role. So, that's great and all. I guess I should start developing some of these things, except if you take a look at the CP costs, these are actually really expensive. Like, I could try to get Lightning as a Saboteur right now, except I could only get the first 2 nodes for 3,000 CP each. And these nodes are actually pretty terrible. I will get a total of 20 HP after having spent all of her CP. In order to get to her deeper tech, she needs to spend 21,000 CP, and as you can see, she's only at 6, so we're quite a ways away. And it actually gets worse. The next stage takes 6,000 CP, 12,000 on the ability. The ring after that is 9,000, 12,000 with 24,000 for the ability, and etc. It just gets worse. The ability on the final ring that we have available costs 42,000 CP. And I think Snow didn't even have that much at the end of Chapter 9 when I finally developed him. So, yeah, you don't really want to invest in this arbitrarily. Because remember, we still have these primary roles. These are colloquially called primary roles and secondary roles. The secondary roles being the ones that were not initially available to the characters. But the primary roles, they still have sections that we should develop. They cost substantially less CP, 740 CP here. And we can get 50 HP with this node, and 10 strength for these nodes, 50 HP here. So it is really not recommended that you invest in secondary roles too early. It is worthwhile to invest in some, but only once you're starting to get more CP, and we're not at that point. It's not until about Chapter 11 that we'll start seeing some free CP gains. There is one exception that I'm probably going to do right now. It certainly cramps us a bit to have Vanille and Hope lack the commando roles. Now, Vanille as a commando takes 21,000 CP to get to attack. But you can see, or you could guess, or you could have probably figured out that Vanille operates usually more magic spect. She does have some strength boosts that Hope doesn't usually get, but she's more magically based. To get her Ruin, you would have to spend a further 36,000 CP. In total, 57,000 CP in order to get her Ruin, at which point she becomes basically a decent commando. Because she can do damage as a commando. That's not really worth investing in. We certainly can't afford it. We would need 50,000 more CP, and that will take a long time when I have other things I should be doing. Hope, on the other hand, in his commando tree, Ruin is the very first node. And you can get Ruin for 6,000 CP. It is an investment, but not to the extent of 57,000. After you get this Ruin, you don't want to touch his commando for a while. You don't need his attack. And you don't need those stat boosts because they are pitiful. He does learn some auto abilities later, like Fault Siphon and, well, Blitz, I guess, if you wanted it. Life Siphon, Ravage, Scourge. I would not recommend investing in those until, like, you have enough CP and you don't care, I guess. But getting Hope's Ruin, certainly very smart. And now we can use him as a commando. The intel also told us that we can switch our leader, and we can. So we are not stuck with lightning lead. We can now lead with whoever we want. I'm going to stick with this for the first couple fights because they are actually repeats of what we just did. And in fact, because we still have only upgraded Lightning's weapon, we probably should stick with it. But I might actually invest in someone else's weapon very momentarily. But first,
What do we do?
of course, the game hints at how we're supposed to be running from these enemies, but of course, because we're not in their battle zone, they're not chasing us. And these are actually different enemy groups than the previous fight. We can also just preempt them really easily. And of course, with a preempt, you should wait. Now, we're still only getting like 500 CP in these fights, and this one, which is actually a singleton, is going to give 256,000 CP. 256,000 CP, yes. Yes, yes. Oh, man.
Thank you.
But it's not enough to really worry about still. That's not what I wanted. I think this is probably what the actual first fight was, but
Let's go!
Thanks.
yeah, he's weak to all elements within peril.
New strategy. You asked for it.
Alright, so just for completion, those were fights. Now, up here, we're gonna get a new enemy. I'm actually gonna stick with this party until I get to a, well, reason to do something different, but this is a new enemy. Let's take a look at it. It's a bomb type enemy, which means we probably should prioritize it. Name is Circuitron. Employs powerful lightning-based attacks, weak to ice, halves physical, and actually has a pretty low HP, so we probably could even take it out pretty quickly.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's already down. That was exciting.
Thank you.
Change of plan.
We got some more of these soldiers. I don't think there's a easy way to get the preempt here because they're facing outward.
enemy off balance. Time for another approach. Target to target. Just another battle.
This is our first item ball of the chapter, containing a hero's amulet. Casts bravery when HP is low, functions only once per battle, critical bravery. That is a nice accessory to have. You don't actually ever get the auto bravery accessory without upgrading for it. So it's good to get it, or get the critical one so you can upgrade it. I'm actually gonna do something a little different with this fight. I start in Bully, because Circuitrons. Unlike the bombs, in Chapter 4, it's actually pretty easy to prevent these bombs from self-destructing.
Target to target.
Probably because you have 3 party members, so you can do more stuff.
Keep the enemy off balance.
Now over here, 3 Circuitrons, and we can preempt them.
You know what to do.
I would open with Quake, but I should be able to like end this pretty quickly. Well, if that Blitz had hit, it would have killed. So
Just another battle.
they are guarding this item, which is 8 bombshells. Did not get the preempt here, but it's a similar fight to
You know what to do.
the one just before this one.
Thanks.
Unless, you know, all the bombs go away so I can't blitz them all. Maybe I lied when I said it's easy to avoid self-destruction. Because if they're just gonna do this to me, although I guess now, okay, we got the Infrost, so it'll be easy.
Thanks. Time for another approach.
Alright, so now we're at a save point, so I'm going to go in... Oh yeah, the shop's updated, by the way. Unicorn Mart now sells Foul Liquid. Plautus's Workshop now sells the Lifesaver, Umbra, and Healer Staff, which we have obtained previously. I forgot to read the description for the Foul Liquid. Removes Daze from one ally. We haven't actually seen Daze yet. When we see it, you'll see why it sucks. Gold Bangle can be purchased now, and General's Belt and Witch's Bracelet are here, which are the tier 2s of the Black Belt and Rune Bracelet respectively. They cost a little more to purchase, they cost a little more to upgrade, but if you want even more physical and magical resistance, that would be the way to go. You can also purchase Pain Dampeners and White Capes now. Magical Moments now sells the Hero's Amulet and the Saint's Amulet. We picked up the Hero's Amulet. We haven't gotten the Saint's Amulet, but it's of course the Critical Faith version of the thing. I think we actually have the auto version. We have a Blessed Talisman, but we haven't actually gotten a Saint's Amulet, which is interesting. That's Magical Moments. Creature Comforts sells new things, but it really doesn't matter because Sturdy Bone, Barbed Tail, and Vibrant Ooze are still the best, and are always the best. And the Mother Lode now sells Mnar Stones, which cost 60,000 gil. So these are rather expensive, so I will probably not invest in them until it's like time to consider a massive upgrade. Anyway, well,
This thing's old.
let me go back into the shop still because let's see. Radial bearings absolutely should be sold. Bomb ashes absolutely should be sold. Spark plugs absolutely should be sold. Bombshells are a little more questionable. I think I'm gonna hold on to those. In fact, I think I want to try using bombshells and perfect conductors for the next thing I want to do, which is upgrade different weapons. Also, we had the N-Tite ring from the drop from the Bartandalus, which I forgot to talk about. N-Tite ring increases all elemental resistances by 10%. The passive ability is, of course, called Resist Elements plus 10%. It sells for 60,000 gil, which, that's a lot. In fact, there's really no reason to not sell this. You don't need upper tiers. In fact, I don't even think there's an upper tier. There's just no real purpose for using this. Anything that you would want to resist elements for, you could probably also acquire through physical resistance or magical resistance. And if you're going that route, you would use a black belt or a rune bracelet, which would also protect you against non-elemental attacks. And for most fights that are like super dangerous, not like casual dangerous, but more like the super fights, like later missions and stuff, if you've played on, like, enemies there usually do non-elemental abilities anyway, and so it's not really worth investing in the N-Tite ring. I'm gonna sell it. Now I have over 100,000 gil, which is actually over 9,000. True story. But yes, we're going to investigate certain weapon upgrades at this point. I'm actually going to start with base versions of characters' weapons, because that provides the most versatility, and maxing them to tier 1 is pretty easy. The only exception is Hope, because his Hawkeye, I guess his Nerd is sort of his basic weapon, but the Hawkeye is actually relatively cheap to upgrade, and you don't really want to use any other weapon of his, but Lightning has a couple variant weapons that you would want to use, but they're a little more expensive to upgrade right now. Saz's Den of Duelers is the best magic weapon for him. It's the one that you probably should consider, but I'm gonna go, I think, with the Vega 42s. Snow has a couple weapons that are worthwhile. The Power Circle is his best strength weapon. It is unfortunately ludicrously expensive to upgrade. He doesn't have his best magic weapon yet. He does have the Paladin and the Umbra, which are really good for their improved guard and improved ward abilities, but I'm not going to upgrade those. They're fine as is, and you don't really want to upgrade them for the stats. Wild Bear would serve the purpose. Hope's Hawkeye is, of course, the thing. And Fang, unfortunately, there's not a weapon I want to upgrade for her. We don't get her best, I don't want to say best, the best, but we don't get one of her better weapons until much later. Bladed Lance looks amazing at level 1, but it scales horribly. Pandoran's Spear, I think, isn't really worthwhile to upgrade. I think it's expensive. And the Gabolg is... I don't think it's worthwhile. So I think I want to focus right now on the Vega 42s, the Wild Bear, and the Hawkeye. This will allow me to have some versatility in party composition. I won't be stuck with Lightning Leader. I could still use Saz and Vanille and use a third party member, which will be Hope, Lightning, or Snow as needed. And I could also lead with Saz without there being a terrible damage decrease. So let's take a look at the Vega 42s. We don't have any organics on hand, which means we're going to have to purchase them. And the components that we have on hand, we have 9 bombshells and 9 perfect conductors that we would like to use up before we buy anything else. We can, in fact, max the Vega 42s purely with perfect conductors. So we're going to purchase 30 bones. And we will upgrade the Vega 42s to max. So if you missed this in the previous chapter, when you use organics, it takes 36 of either Sturdy Bone, Vibrant Ooze, or Barbed Tail to get to X3 multiplier. And the order that you should upgrade, because you don't want to just use all 36, you'll lose out on experience that way. Instead, you should follow the order of 4, 4, 7, 3, 18. That maximizes the experience you get because the experience bonus doesn't retroactively apply to whatever the components you put in. You want to make sure that when you hit the experience bonus, it's for the exact number of Sturdy Bones in order to maximize the experience gain there. Granted, the experience from organics is relatively small, but sometimes you can cut out one component, which can save you gil. 7 perfect conductors is enough to max the Vega 42s. I lied. 8 is enough, sorry. I misread what I typed in here. 8 is enough. Is it enough to just do this, or do I need to get it fixed? Actually, I'll just do this. Yep, just the one. Actually, would a bombshell do it? I might as well just use a bombshell. I think that's a little... Oh, I'll take 3. Ugh. Because that's 329. That's that. 3 bombshells gives less experience, so it's less of a waste. Alright, it's maxed. It now provides 137 strength and 139 magic. I forgot what it gave at base, but that's certainly better than its base. Next is the Wild Bear. And now we don't have really enough on hand to be able to max it out, which means we're going to be using what's on hand, and we're going to front load some extra components to offset the level decrease, and then we're going to round out the rest with crankshafts. In order to do that, we're going to need going to need 9 crankshafts. We're also going to need 71 Sturdy Bones. This is all information that I'm obtaining by looking at a spreadsheet that I set up, because the upgrade system in this game is rather obscure, and if you don't know what you're doing, you are likely to waste components. But if you know what you're doing, which requires you to use a spreadsheet, you can really get strong super early in this game. Unfortunately, I couldn't really do this earlier because I didn't have the gil, but now that I have gil and motivation, 4 Sturdy Bones, 4 Sturdy Bones, because of course 4, 4, 7, 3, 18. And then I'm going to throw in many sturdy bones. We're currently at X3 multiplier. There's nothing higher than X3 multiplier, but throwing in extra sturdy bones will give me a bonus point buffer. And it's better to do this before you lose the experience bonus, so you can get the X3 bonus on these sturdy bones to cut out whatever number you need extra. Because now if I do the 2 perfect conductors and the 6 bombshells, I will still be at X3 multiplier, and I can max out the wild bear with 9 crankshafts. And now the wild bear provides 140 strength and 140 magic. And last, I want to look at the Hawkeye, and since we've used up all of the components on hand, other than the transformational catalysts, this will all have to be done out of pocket. It will take 36 sturdy bones, 31 crankshafts. It will cost me 28,920 gil, and I can afford that easily. So, 36 sturdy bones, 31 crankshafts. And the order for sturdy bones is again 4, 4, 7, 3, 18. Now, if you know in advance that you don't need the extra sturdy bone experience because it's not cutting out a crankshaft, you could certainly throw in all 36 at once. I don't want to spend the time to figure that out because that's more just time efficiency than anything. Doesn't really hurt to do 4, 4, 7, 3, 18 all the time. It's not like you can accidentally use too many crankshafts if you misspend. But the upgraded Hawkeye provides 27 strength, which is not important, but 193 magic, which is. The Belladonna wand. Now this one's interesting. The thing is that I don't think I can max it. Oh, I can max it, and it will take me 38,000 gil. But I want to be careful because I don't remember what the transformational catalyst is. I have not used a transformational catalyst on a weapon yet, because generally with a weapon, if you catalyze it, you lose stats, and it will initially stink, but once you upgrade that weapon, you'll eventually get past the previous strength magic threshold. But it's actually really expensive to do so and not worth doing until you can upgrade to max tier 2 anyway. That said, the Belladonna wand is interesting because I don't really want its stats, I want its passive ability, improved debuffing. But when I catalyze the tier 2, improved debuffing actually gets a bonus. And I can't afford it, and the upgrade component, or the catalyst, is the Uranite. So I could get the tier 2 Belladonna wand. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, because this will make Vanille more easily able to get debuffs inflicted. This costs me 36 sturdy bones and 42 crankshafts. So, Belladonna wand, 4, 4, 7, 3, 18. Do not do it one at a time. You will lose out on a little bit of experience because of how the game rounds. You don't actually lose it in this case, I think, but sometimes you can. Do it in the order of 4, 4, 7, 3, 18 to avoid rounding errors. And then 42 crankshafts. This makes the Belladonna wand 65 strength and 131 magic. I'm going to use the Uranite. This puts the Belladonna wand to the Malboro wand, which means I lose 2 points of strength and 4 points of magic, unless I level up, in which case I'll probably get it back. But now the passive ability is improved debuffing 2. In case you're curious, if you really wanted to max out the Malboro wand, for whatever reason, it will take 237 crankshafts It will cost me over 200,000 gil. I didn't even have 200,000 gil when I started. So I'm not going to do that. It actually becomes somewhat less expensive once we get to chapter 3, or chapter 11. Because if I can utilize ultra-compact reactors, I could even just use 2 ultra-compact reactors, which cost 50,000 gil each, and in total the upgrade will of course be 100,000 gil. It halves the cost of the upgrade at the very least. But in any case, I'm not using the Marlboro wand for stats, and upgrading it beyond this point doesn't do anything other than increase the stats. Because improved debuffing 2 is the max tier passive ability for that specific thing. Improved debuffing 2 still boosts the success rate of debuffing abilities. I believe it originally slightly enhanced or whatever, or slightly boosted, but now it just straight up boosts. It's not actually giving you a hard number there, but it does make it more likely for debuffs to land. And since debuffings are what Vanille's specialty is, we do want the Marlboro wand there. So now I'm going to unequip these 3 people, because now I want to consider strongly what my party should be. Lightning with the Blazefire Saber has about 300 points in both strength and magic. Saz with the Vega 42s has a little less than 300 points in strength and magic, but his blitz is pretty powerful. Vanille is not as important stat-wise. In fact, Saz and Vanille are going to be in the party regardless, so the question is more between Lightning and Snow and Hope. Snow with the Wild Bear provides 322 strength. Hope with the Hawkeye has 349 magic. So Snow and Hope have better stats than Lightning. But Lightning's main advantage right now is that she has access to the commando ability Blitz, which means that she can hit multiple targets easily with that Blitz. Snow, for whatever reason, does not have Blitz yet. He will learn Blitz, but it will be a ways down the road still. I don't know why he doesn't get it for a while, but he lacks Blitz. He only has single target attacks, and so that kind of makes it hard to want to use him. Even as a commando, he does not have Blizzara, Watera, or Aurora. He does not have Blizzara, Watera, or Aurora. So he isn't as effective even at against a single target to get powerful post-stagger chaining. Now, Hope does have a lot of Ras. He has Fyra, Blizzara, Thundara, and Watera. And I think he might even get Aurora in the very next ring. Yeah, there's his Aurora. So we can give him AoE pretty easily. But it can be tricky to get a Ravager AI to use AoE outside of stagger situations. Even if multiple targets have an active chain, they sometimes avoid doing that. So I think Lightning is still a fair candidate for the third party slot, but I'm actually going to lead with Saz instead of leading with Lightning. And most of the reason for that is because I can control the order of buffs. In general, I will probably be leading with Saz until I have other synergist abilities on other party members, because controlling the synergist allows you to pick and choose what buffs you want. You don't always need all of Haste, Vigilance, Protect, Shell, Veil, Bravery, Faith, Barfire, and Endfire. You don't need all of that. You generally only really want Haste at the very least, End Spell, and maybe the right Bravery or Faith ability on the character that you care about. So, leading with Saz gives me the option to control the buffing. It lets me not, or it sort of discourages target selection. I can still manipulate it though by shifting to a commando role and having Saz change the target that way. But nonetheless, I think it's still better to lead with this. And I think setting up a Synergist Ravager Saboteur to open with is still wise. In the case that I do want AoE blitzes, I could use Bully. But really, I think a setup like this is all I really want. I will use a second aggression. No, maybe I'll just use a second Tri-Disaster. I don't think I need Malevolence, so I think I'll make another sort of aggression there. Now, a slight problem is that I'm not set up for healing as much, but that's okay. I think now I'm going to give Vanille the Aurora Scarf. And now, between Saz and Lightning, they're both equally competent, so they could both get strength boosting things or magic boosting things if I wanted. But I do have to be careful about target times. I'm going to give Lightning a bigger boost because I can buff her first, and then Saz gets buffed later, and then we can utilize their abilities at that point. So, let's see how this works. Now, I said I just set up Synergist Ravager Saboteur, but I think I do want Bully for this next fight, because this involves an enemy type that we last saw in Chapter 4, or Chapter 5.
Just as I was getting used to it.
The Nocticool Kill. With 5,040 HP, weak to fire, weak to frost, but they are very weak. Very weak.
Thank you.
In fact, the fight's already almost over. In fact, the fight's over. Yep. Fight ended that quickly. There's another enemy. And this one, I think I'm actually going to do something different. Because I believe they resist physical. Yeah, they have physical. They're weak to fire. They also are pretty weak, and they have a very low chain resistance. We do have to act fast because these guys can merge. That said, we do probably want to see at least one merge situation because it is a limited enemy type. But we will have many opportunities to see that later. We haven't seen the clans merge yet, but it is something that they can do. Got the preempt here. Which means I'm going to open with Quake, and this is going to be interesting because this might end the fight immediately. Nah. I probably could have gotten an immediate end to a fight if I had set up for it intentionally. Quake does do damage, fun fact. People usually use it for chaining purposes, but it does do damage. And there's the Saint's Amulet, which we saw previously in the shop, and it provides critical faith. So this area looks similar to the opening areas of the game, but now there are enemies, so there's at least some purpose here. This area is in fact locked, but there are enemies on the other side, so we probably will fight those maybe at some point, unless the game lies to us. Ah, here we got the preempt. So I think this time I'm going to do something slightly different. I'm going to cast Quake. I'm going to shift to a commando roll immediately, which I didn't shift fast enough, so it doesn't really work still. If I had known I was going to get the preempt, I could have opened in a commando roll. In fact, let me try for that in this next fight. I'm going to do a specific setup with the intention of killing with a single protect. I'm going to use Auto Faith. I'm going to take the Shaman's Mark off of Lightning and put that on Saz. This is the best way to deal magic damage ASAP, is with Auto Faith. Now, if I want to kill with Quake, it probably should be with Preempt. Actually, I wonder if I could just do it without Preempt, if they're just that weak. Probably not. Let's put these babies to work. Nope. Well, we probably could kill with a second Quake. Nope. But hey, it's an unusual strat, so, and we got the TP back. Well, most of it. I think we started with 3. I think the next fight
Footing's a little iffy, but we should be able to get across.
should be easily preempted and should be easily killable with the single Quake.
But we better stick together.
I say that, but they're all so far back. Oh, no, we got it. We got it. This is a really long preempt animation, though. And we killed all with but 1 Quake. They are actually guarding an item. This item is 10 vials of medicinal oil.
There must be something else to try.
Now, Quake doesn't generally get used for damage, but in this case, because the enemies are low on HP and have a high chain point when you preempt them, you could try it out and get it working. Now, I can't get a preempt in this fight.
We ain't going down.
But 2 Quakes and it kills most of them. Alrighty. There's an item hiding over here. It's the rainbow anklet. Increases daze resistance by 30%. This is hinting at a possible enemy casting daze coming up. As is usual when we see accessories and items like that popping up. What's the other one? Ah, the bomb! Alright. Well, I'm going to cut it here. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will be around in the future for more content. Until then, have a good day.